many people, and I'm just happy to, take whatever question you guys have. Feel free to go in. It's completely free. You guys can just go in and join in, and I really appreciate it. So anyways, let's get into the saving the grade, right? That's a kind of the cool topic that I actually came with this like a couple weeks ago, and I just started like writing, and it was really something I wanted to present to you guys, because I think as we get into the second half of the kind of the school year, there's kind of two frames that we have. Not really two frames. There's kind of two ways that I think stress kind of creeps up the students. You have one, the student that like really did really well at the beginning of the year. They really maybe connected with the content, connected, with the school and the rituals and the routines. And then it's getting on to the second half of the year, and you're just kind of like done, right? Maybe you might be a senior or a junior, and you're just like, I am overdoing school. I'm overdoing all the work. Or, maybe some of the other classes are getting much tougher, and it's harder to kind of put in the work that you did, for the first half. So you're really, really starting to, to struggle. And so you're kind of looking for some ways like, hey, I maybe had some A's and B's, some C's, whatever may be the case at the beginning of the year, and now I have dropped, right? And that's kind of one thing that happened to me my senior year in pre-calculus. I remember I was literally academically ineligible for spring baseball, because that's how bad my grades had dropped. Or at least it was really just in the math class. And because I just was like, I can't do this anymore. So I really had to, and that was in pre-calculus, by the way, I really had to kind of get myself together and be like, come on, you got to get your act together, right? And here's some of the things that I wanted to tell you guys that I did. In addition, there's also the other student that I made these tips for that maybe kind of struggled at the beginning of the year, right? And maybe got an F, a D, a C, whatever, but it's like, you need to get a B. You need to get a C at least for the end of the year. So you got to pick it up. Even if you didn't get all the information at the beginning of the year that you needed to, it's like, it's game time now. Like, you need to graduate, or you need to pass this class for whatever the reason. So here's a couple things I want you guys to think about. First, the last thing you can possibly do is sit and do nothing. Okay. So whenever you have the stress, the stress and frustration of, am I going to fail? Like, what's going to happen if I fail? Or if I don't get my grade up, what are my parents going to do? What's going to happen if I don't get to college? Like, all those thoughts, all those feelings, like, they're going to like eat you alive if you just sit there and let them. Right. And you can do that by just not doing it. You can try to avoid them, right? You can go and just like, hey, I'm just going to watch video games, or I'm just going to go with my, hang out with my friends, or I'm just going to go to sleep, like, just completely avoid it. But guess what? It doesn't go away. And all it does is keep on building up, getting worse. And then eventually, it's like, it builds up, and then the inevitable will just happen, and nothing's going to change. So the number one thing that you can possibly do when you start getting overwhelmed, when you start getting the stress, is you got to take action. You got to start taking some steps. Get outside of the house, get outside of the classroom, whatever you need to do, get away from wherever you are and start doing something towards getting yourself some help, or taking control of the situation. But you have to go ahead and take some action. You got to get moving. The worst thing you can do is try to avoid things and just like sit there and just let it like eat you away. So when you're looking into trying to save your grade, the first and number one thing is like, start at it now. Start tonight. Like, start right now. Like, close on the live stream, whatever you need to do. Like, now is the time for you to get your act together, right? Do not wait and wait till the last moment to try to see if you can, kind of pull off a miracle. Number two is, kind of look for something different, kind of, if the reason why you're in the dilemma that you're in is because maybe you just started hanging out with the wrong group of people, or maybe you just stopped studying for your tests and quizzes, or maybe you stopped, caring and putting in the work and the effort into class. Well, guess what? You're going to have to change those things up. Every single time I talk with students about how can they improve their grade, we'd sit down and we're like, and I'd just tell them, like, what are you doing that is to improve your grade? What are you doing that is hurting your grade? And it was always pretty out. Like, students could always, even if they had trouble confiding a lot of times in like what was struggling with them, like why they're having trouble with math, they could always explain that what they could do better inside the class, or what were things that they are doing that they know they probably shouldn't be doing, or that is harming them. And I think the main thing is you just got to be honest with yourself. We all know not we all know. I think we all have a good idea of what it takes to get the best out of ourselves and to be successful in, the math. Like we know we need to, be doing the work, to asking questions and all that kind of stuff. And so, I think the main thing is like, if you're just going to keep on expecting to be doing the same thing that got you in that situation, well, then what else do you expect your grades to happen, right? If you failed or got really poor grades at the beginning of the year, and you're not making any changes or any adjustments, you just want a better grade, well, guess what? It's not going to happen, right? You're going to have to put in the extra work. You're going to have to, you're going to have to get help as you need, and especially even make up some of that previous stuff. So make sure you are doing something different and are not just doing the same thing and expecting different results, right? We all know that the definition of insanity. The last thing I think we need to understand too is when you're looking into, that saving the grade, remember it's about saving the grade. It's not about you, and it's not about your, what was I thinking? It's caught on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, I called it like my email today, like this humility pill, right? Swallow your pride. Your focus right now is improving your grade. Right. So if you have a question, ask the person next to you, go to your teacher, right? Go to your parents, go online. I think there's still such this dilemma of like, I don't want to feel stupid, or, I don't want this person to think that I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't know what I'm doing. Like, who cares? Right. We're at the bottom half. If you're trying to save your grade, you got to go and save your grade. You got to get the help. Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, or you need, questions answered, like get help, ask questions. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of students to do, especially for those that are not used to asking questions or are used to struggling, or, not getting a grade that they are accustomed to. And, these last couple of years have been pretty difficult. They've been pretty unusual circumstances that I would say that have tested a lot of students and teachers and their ability to be able to, really adjust and, really kind of like adjust and put forth their best effort, and with the kind of different learning environments that we have. So, don't be hard on yourself. Just recognize where you're at and get help. But I think the main thing is like, get the help, make sure you look at what you've done or where you're at the situation, make some changes, and then start now. Right? Don't hesitate. Don't wait. There's a big reason, guys, why I decided to make this video or this live stream right now, rather than talk about it like at the, in June or in April, right? The time to save your grade is now, right? Or maybe even a couple weeks ago, right? So start putting in that work now, and hopefully all of this information, whatever, can make some benefits for you guys. So there you go. Hopefully that was helpful. All right. Well, hey, Ronan, good to have you on. And Cameron, no reason I'm pressed pre-calc. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I don't know. Everybody's different, how to keep concentrated. I think everybody, everybody with that, like how to stay curious, or I was just seeing the next one, but I think everybody with that, some people like music, some people don't like music. I think one of the big things though is like, I think for most students with that is like getting away from distractions, and if you can put away your phone or, closing down different browsers, like trying to focus on trying to give your brain like 15, 20, 30 minutes of focused attention, I think is going to be the most important from there. And I think I just got this on Amazon. So I think there's a lot of like on Etsy and Amazon. They have a lot of them where you can just, pick out whatever kind of thing you want, and they'll get something similar. And I think this was a standard font. I don't think I added in my own font, but there are sellers that will do different fonts that you request. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into any other questions that you guys in the chat. Any kind of math questions though, guys, please just go ahead and use the McLogan.for Q&A. Anything that like I need to like review and read, please go ahead and use that link. And then what we'll do after that is just a reminder, guys, we will do a live stream this Wednesday. So for those of you that are in Algebra 2, I'll be more than happy to take any of your questions, just like I'm about to do here. I'll probably get started on that in just a couple more minutes for those of you guys that do have math questions. And then also just a reminder, guys, we will do a math giveaway. I keep on forgetting to keep on to post that in. So maybe I'll kind of think of a different way to kind of do the math giveaway. I mean, I always think the math giveaway is awesome because so few people do it. So you have a great chance if you really want to, if you want to get some free tutoring. But I guess we'll keep it for this week. And then maybe I'll see if I can make some. I really wish I could use it for like posts or something, but or I guess I could use it on like a math video. But yeah, I don't know. So either way, so what I'll do, guys, is anyways last week's live stream. So last week's live stream, you guys can comment hashtag math help to enter the giveaway. There you go. All right. So if you would like a free tutoring, 30-minute tutoring session with myself, then go ahead and go to last week's live stream. I think that was the one about me getting dressed up every week. And then go ahead and comment hashtag math help. And then therefore you guys will be entered from there. Thank you so much, David, for joining in as a member. I can't wait to, that'd be actually a good idea as far as doing some tutoring from on there or some of those compliments, some of those videos. That'd be a good thing. But thank you so much for supporting me on the memberships. I greatly appreciate that. Elimination word. Well, I mean, if you have a system, I mean, the best thing is just going to have to be very kind of exact with your graphing. I mean, that's kind of the hard thing from there. Word problems. I mean, it's everything's there's so many variables and so many differences on where you're taking your math from on there. So there's not really much I would even go into. And plus I've only taught at least on the high school level from there. Yes, that's a good one too. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for joining in. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Arif, I got your question and you are up this week. So congratulations on that. Fun when you actually know what you're doing. Hey, yeah, I feel you on that. No, Nick, don't do it on this. Guys, last week's live stream, not this live stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to last week's live stream. I'm going to pull up that link and I'm going to put it into a random generator. And then that is going to take your comment. So when you post it into a live chat, that does nothing. So please do not type in hashtag math help here because it does nothing. So go into last week's live stream and go ahead and do it. What was the highest grade one of your students had in Algebra 1? I don't know, probably like A+. Thank you, Malik. I would have no idea. That's a good question, though. I'm sure there's something out there. I've never really looked into it as much, but I'm sure just probably some research, and I'm definitely there's probably something that has been gone from there. And tangent, I know there's definitely some things on the tangent, but I don't know any top of my head. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about on logarithms. Graphing logarithms, solving logarithms. I think one of the things that what I see with students when they make mistakes with logarithms is they don't understand what the logarithm is representing. So I think if you just want like a random tip, a lot of times convert it to exponential form or think about it in exponential form, and that will help you a lot of times digest the logarithm. But that could be good. That could be what you're looking for or not anything near. I have no idea. So if you want to have anything more specific though, let me know. Thank you, Stormtrooper. You helped me get through my homework. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out. Do you have any specific advice for AP Physics? I'm pretty good at Algebra 2, but AP Physics seems like a completely foreign subject. Yeah, I'm back in the exact same boat, right? I was a math major and I was like, oh, I'll go and take physics. And then I was like, I don't like physics. And I really struggled with physics and all the applications and formulas and all the math, like computation. I was like, I don't like this or enjoy this at all. So I think I mean, it's just a different mindset, how you need to approach, physics from there. So unfortunately, I don't really have any great advice because I didn't really enjoy it or do as well in it as well. So probably not the best to speak on that. Well, thank you so much, Redot. Appreciate it. Good to know, James. University is calculus based and college is algebra based. Good to know. Thank you. Please issue a complete John. I have no idea. So whenever you guys ask me questions about what you should do as far as a class, the same response is basically you need to talk to your teacher, talk to your parents, and talk to your counselors. Like those are kind of the three people that should be advising you on what classes you should be taking and what you should be going into, right? I'm just kind of a guy behind a computer screen that is probably doesn't really know your situation or your capability or your opportunities, that are available to you. So I wouldn't want to, steer you anywhere from there. Definitely the not applications, trig identities. I think that's usually students really kind of struggle with that. And I think one of the two reasons they struggle with that is one, trig identities can go a lot of different ways. Like it's not cut and dry mathematics, like there's a lot of different ways to do things. And then also number two is it forces them to, or I wouldn't say forces. Yeah, I'd say it forces them to know their trig. So a lot of students are like, oh, I like trig. This is so easy and blah, 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 right? And they just kind of like do it and they do well on tests and quizzes, but if they don't really know what they're doing, and then they realize that once we start getting into trig identities or analytic trigonometry and application trigonometry, that they are actually really expected to know what they're doing. And a lot of times they get exposed from on there. So I think I'd probably say that's probably one of the hardest ones. Besides, second to that would be applications of trig. And actually, you know what? I think never mind. I'll take that back. I'll say applications of trig is the most difficult. And the reason I'm saying that or changing that is because applications of trig is a lot of times we're going to be doing the word problems, law of sines, law of cosines, vectors, parametric equations. All of those sections have word problem components. And we all know everybody hates word problems. So yes, I mean, always check for direct substitution first, and then practice your algebra for simplifying. Yes, I believe I have a live stream pretty recently, right on that. But yeah, I mean, it's her background. Yeah, I think it wasn't too long ago, actually. Did I have that? Or maybe it was one that I was just going to make. Oh, wait, never mind. That will actually be coming up. I actually have a series of videos that I'll be posting on that. So don't worry, I'll be coming up. I'm a junior right now, and I understand the topic. The teacher helps, but the test just throws me off, causing me to fail on the test. Yeah, I think just kind of comes into like putting in even more work. Like even though you think you know and you feel good, like do more. And because a lot of times what happens is, the task, stress, whatever's happening here today will throw us off, and we might not be thinking as clearly as we were when no pressure was on and we're just doing our homework, right? So try to do some extra problems. Try to do some problems that are really going to maybe stretch you a little bit more from on there, and give that a shot. Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I think everybody, like as I mentioned, everybody's different. Sometimes that might be a great idea, and for other people, it might be a horrible idea. So I'm not against it, but I think that you got to be careful a lot of times when you're taking a condensed math course, because if you're not fully invested into it, then you could definitely have some missed things from it. Or you can miss some content that, again, like during the school year, could definitely hurt you out. Why do math books stop showing every step when solving equations as you progress on? Like showing each step? Yeah, because I think it's like time and effort, and yeah, I know it can be confusing. Trust me, I had to learn a lot from math or from math books, and I remember questioning, like, why'd you go from here to here? So that's why I always, when I'm teaching, always try to show extra steps, for students to be able to follow. But yeah, I agree. It can be frustrating sometimes. Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, Dennis, for doing that. I appreciate that. Practice. Practice, ask questions, right? And keep on challenging yourself. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Awesome, Devin. Best of luck. Ooh, jeez, I got to get caught up. Sorry, guys. Going through some of those. Oh, I appreciate the fan. I really do. Yes, a lot of times they are. I totally agree with that. I think it's kind of tough. I think breathe. It's kind of simple. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but like, yeah, just kind of breathe. Like when you get tensed up, you get frustrated, you got a lot of things going on, like just breathe, relax. Like, kind of like let your brain do the work of like trying to, collect all that information back in for you that you're searching for. And a lot of times when you're taking a test and like your brain, like there's just so many things are moving so quickly and stuff like that, it can kind of be overwhelming. So just slow down, breathe, close your eyes, right? And kind of think through the problem. And again, sometimes like skip it, come back to it later, right? Do you have any tips for EOC? I'm assuming benchmark and SAT. By the way, do you have any tips for middle school math? Because next year I'll be in it and I need something. I don't have any like math tips or from in there, but I think for tips for any kind of end of course exams or whatever else is do as many practice problems as you possibly can. Right? Take practice tests, do practice reviews. Don't just like do the review your teacher gave you. Do more. And I think the more practice you guys do, the better prepared you are going to be for in the year. Like when I was teaching AP calculus, the one of the things that we did is like we were just practicing problems over and over and over again. And because the thing is like, you can understand the material, right? And that's fine. Like, and that's of course like the best, but when you're talking about like these high stakes tests, which I'm not like the most in love with, but it's, it's just kind of the nature of the beast here that, when we're trying to perform our best, like we want to be over prepared. We want to have challenged ourselves with as many different like angles that questions can be posed and prepared for, that we are going to be prepared for as many, like, it's the same thing. Like when it's, I don't know, I was thinking of like going camping, right? So you're going camping, right? You just don't bring like a tent and be like, all right, camping, it's going to be, tent. And let's just say, I don't know, tent and a sleeping bag or whatever. Like, no, you got to like, unless say you're going to go for like 10 days or something, or you have no idea how the weather's going to be, right? You have to prepare for different situations, right? Because you can just go there and like, things can be completely different, or it could be completely cold or, really hot. And, maybe let's go into a different part of the country where it's like, you don't know what you could get. So you got to be prepared, right? And if you're just doing one math review, that might just cover only one certain types of content or certain types of questions. So do as much practice as possible so that you're prepared for whatever you might get. Because again, you got to think about it. If you're taking, for instance, the EOC, there's probably thousands of questions that could be asked for you on the EOC. And guess what? It all gets dwindled down to like 40, right? So it's like your whole grade on that EOC out of like 1,000 questions is boiled down to like 40, right? So it's like, are you going to do 1,000 questions? Probably not. That's a lot, but you should probably be doing as absolute many as let's just say maybe 1,000, maybe too much, maybe like 300, or 400, right? So, you want to do as many as you possibly can to be as prepared as you possibly can. Well, hey, William, thank you so much for supporting me on that. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Janie. I really appreciate that. That's, no, I think you just need to set up time and a schedule for when you're going to be doing your math, when you're going to be taking your class and stuff like that. If you're not on a schedule, I think that just becomes really hard. Yeah, but just don't forget, they're not going to go away. They're going to come. They're always going to be kind of with you, especially if you get into calculus and stuff like that. So, I found I really work and I forget the concepts I learned from it. Yeah, I think one of the big things with, now at the end of the year is like, just look at the light at the end of the tunnel, right? It's like, I talked about saving your grade, but it's like, now it's like, hey man, we're almost there. We're almost there. Like, just focus on it. The weather's starting to turn, right? For many of you, wherever you are in the world. But, the starting to look outside, the sun's shining a little bit more, different things like activities and, or events are being, are going on, but like, you got to look at the why, the why you're doing what you're doing and what it's going to feel like when you're done. Right. And I think if you can just kind of focus on that and kind of tough through some of the especially these next couple of months, which are going to be difficult, right? Because if you're doing testing season and everything else, like, You know, I know it can be tough. It can be a drag, but you know, really kind of hone in why you're doing what you're doing, and what and that kind of sense of accomplishment once you're done. And I think that hopefully that can get you through everything. I have, well, thank you so much. I have no idea about engineering courses, what you need, but I really thank you for joining in though. Well, thank you, Brian. Good to have you on. Awesome. 12 hours before your exam. I love it. All right, let's go and get into some of the math questions that you guys have. And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the Algebra 2 students, if you do want to join me for a live stream this week, I think it's at 5 p.m. That I did. So you guys can definitely go ahead and join if that works for you, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you guys want to join, again, it's absolutely free, and it's just kind of like this, but you can ask questions like in a little bit more intimate kind of like format. It's on Google Meet rather than a live stream. But yeah, if you guys, that's works for you, and I think I'll do pre-calculus next week. I'll have to double check with my schedule, but I think that will work for you guys. So let's go and get into the questions at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. And of course, 7 more people wanted to add questions. Awesome. But I'll get to those in a second. Well, actually, never mind. I'll get to those extra questions in a second. And then also just a reminder, guys, I'm also going to do a giveaway for free tutoring with myself. Just go to last week's live stream. I think it was about why I dress up every single day. Go to last week's live stream and then go ahead and type in #mathhelp. All right. Where is my pen? There it is. Okay. All right. For all of you that are in the calculus, I know exactly what it was, and I do apologize, guys. So calculus I added this year in addition to Algebra 1 and geometry. So I apologize, guys. Every day I have to update 5 different emails because the emails are all preset. So I have to update the problem. I have to update the link. I have to update the Google form. So 3 times 5, that's 15 tasks I am doing. And so it's a lot. So I do apologize. I did miss it. But thank you so much. Let me know. And especially it's the best to let me know also in Discord because I am checking that as well for you guys. So therefore you guys don't need to like bother people that are not in the live stream or live streams. But yeah, just let me know in the Discord. That's perfectly fine. And the video answer for day 5, since it showed the video was, I thought I fixed that. Oh yeah. I did have somebody help me with the link. So they were supposed to help me on that. So thank you so much for letting me know about that. I will repost those 2 for next week. So our next week's email or tomorrow's email, I'll try to make sure to remind myself to do that for you. Okay. And I guess everything else is going good with Algebra 2 and Algebra 1. Not getting in my thing. There you go. All right. So awesome. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into some math, and then whatever questions those you guys did do add in late, I will try to do my best for that. There you go. All right. So the first question came in is, I think the student was asking, actually, I can't remember how they said. I think they just said how to solve system equations. So, yeah, and no problem. Just, I mean, it's like I said, it's just faster and easier, right? Rather than waiting for a day, like there's, go through Discord and I'll make sure I'm checking it every day to, if there's any issues. All right. So in this problem, we're solving a system of equations. And so a couple of things that I like, kind of tips that I think about for system equations. Unless I have an equation, unless I have like an equation solved for one variable or the other, I typically like to prefer to use elimination over substitution, just because it, in my opinion, just makes things a little bit easier to attack. And let's see, why am I not have this on full screen? Because I want more room. Okay. So typically what we want to do is if we add these 2 equations up, right? If I added these 2 up, I'd get a 7x plus 2y is equal to 12. Well, that's not going to help me out, right? So if you add those up, right? You want to eliminate a variable. So what you could use is a scalar, and or we could subtract the two equations. I prefer not to subtract the two equations just because I always like to add them. So if I'm going to add them, I need one of them to be positive, one of them to be negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by a negative. And I have to stop because Rafina gave me a super chat, and I greatly appreciate my super chats. Mr. McLogan, thank you for putting the math challenges together. I'm having a lot of fun. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out and with those. And I think I'm so glad that they are benefit, because I think it is something that is really cool. Hopefully you guys can join. And I think you guys still can join even if you haven't started 30-day math challenge. It's at brianmclogan.com/challenge. And but yeah, I'm so glad they're having out. Thank you so much for that. So if I multiply by a negative, what I'm going to do is multiply everything here by a -1. What am I doing? Come on. Okay, so if I multiply everything by a -1, my top equation remains the same. My bottom equation, though, is now going to be a -3x minus y minus 7. Okay, so I want you guys to kind of take a look at this. Now I have a positive and a negative coefficient for y. So now if I add the two equations out, look what happens. I am just left with an x. The y plus negative y just goes to 0, and that's equal to 2. So now I have basically solved for x. I've created an equation where I only have one variable. And in this case, I don't even have to do any math here. It's like x equals 2. It's done. Now to solve for y, just plug 2 in for x in either one of these equations. Now you could do these two equations, you do the original equation. It doesn't really matter. I am just going to choose this bottom equation. So I'll do 3 times 2. Actually, I'm just rewriting so you guys can see where I got it. So I'll take the original equation, original bottom equation, and 3 times 2 plus y equals 7. And that's a 6, so a minus 6. So y equals a positive 1. And there you go. You could write that as a coordinate point. That's where the two graphs are going to meet. And hey, Justin, good to have you back on. Is it -2? Oh, yeah, it is -2. Thank you, Rona. Caught me right in there. Okay. Now in this equation, the logarithms. So one thing we got to be careful on, don't use the one-to-one property when you have multiple logarithms on one side. Okay, so we cannot just eliminate logs, because a lot of times people say, oh, you have a log on both sides, just like do the one-to-one property. Well, that only works when you have a logarithm equal to a logarithm. So what I need to do is understand the rule, the properties of logarithms. I can rewrite this as one single logarithm on the left if multiplying my arguments. So I can write this as a log base 7 of x plus 1 times x times a 2x plus 1 equals log base 7 of 30. And now I can use the one-to-one property, divide those out. I'm actually going to rewrite this as a x plus 1 times a 2x plus 1, and let's say times x equals a 30. Okay, so now let's go ahead and multiply that out. So that'd be a 2x squared plus x, so it'd be plus 3x plus 2. Okay, I'm just using a little FOIL here. And then distributive property of that. So that'd be a 2x cubed plus a 3x squared plus 2x equals 30. Subtract a 30, right? Because you want it equal at 0, so you could either factor it or use some other techniques. What happened to my 1? Oh. That should be a 1 anyways. Making some mistakes left and right here, right? Okay, and then so that'd be a 1 right there. Plus x, good, and then minus 30. So therefore I have a 2x cubed plus 3x squared plus x minus 30 equals 0. All right, actually, I was looking at this. That's not going to be factorable, but let me play a little game on Desmos. I already have this already saved, so I'm just going to pull this on there. I just want to see what the graph was going to look like on there. So typically, I'm not seeing any of this being easily factorable. I do want to see, you could use the like kind of remainder or the rational zero test, to test your zeros and plug them in from there. Or you could use graphing technology, which I'm doing, and just graph it and kind of see where are these solutions actually going to be? Where are these x-intercepts happening? and I get 2 equals 0. Okay, so by graphing this, and that's the way I found it. So you could test your zeros, all right? So you could test the zeros. You could say, well, let's go ahead and, because 1 is a potential 0, plus a -1, plus or minus 2. So since f of 2 is equal to 0, x minus 2 is a factor. Now, how else did I know that? I actually just looked at the graph, right? But you could use the remainder theorem to test that as well. And thank you, Forever Thoughtful. Wow, YouTubing for answer day 5 is broken. Algebra 2 essays. The video, yeah, I will. That link was supposed to be up, but it was not. So thank you so much for the super chat, and I will make sure I send you guys that link for you guys in there. Since f2 is equal to 0, x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, so if that's a factor, then now I can use the remainder, or I can use the synthetic division, right? So synthetic division here. All right, so then I have a 2, 3. There's a 2, 3, 1, and -30. So bring down the 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 plus 4 is going to be a 7. 2 times 4 is going to be a 14. 1 plus 4 is a 15. And that's going to be a 30. So that's a 0. So then that's going to be a 2x squared plus 7x plus 15. And then you need to set that equal to 0. And I believe looking at this graph, those are going to be imaginary solutions. So you're going to want to use the quadratic formula. So unfortunately, I got to move on to the next problem from on there, because I do have a whole bunch of other questions that I got into that. All right. In this one, in this problem, let's go ahead and rewrite this here. So I can rewrite this denominator as a 3 over 1 over 27 squared. Okay, so this is going to be a cube root of a 8x cubed y. All right, so when we want to rationalize the denominator with a cube, we want everything to be raised to the 3rd power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this by the cube root of 1 over 27. Now, again, remember, whatever you do in the numerator, you have to do in the denominator, right? And actually, I'm just going to move this over because I don't really need this. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that in the top and the bottom. Okay, so when doing that now, in my numerator, I have the cube root of a 8x cubed y all over a 27. And in my denominator here, I have the cube root of 1 over a 27 cubed. All right, well, what's the cube root of 1? Well, again, you can break that up now. Actually, let's kind of do this. So we can simplify. Yeah, we can simplify this. So the cube root of 8 cubed y, the cube root of 27, divided by cube root of 1, all over the cube root of 27 cubed. Whew, a lot going on, right? So let's just do this one at a time. Let's actually work from the bottom here. I'll go down here. Now let's go through top. So the cube root of 8 is going to be 2. Cube root of x cubed is x. Cube root of y is just going to be cube root of y. Cube root of 27 is going to be a 3. And that's going to be divided by cube root of 1, which is 1. And the cube root of 27 cubed, which is going to be a 27. Right? So again, remember, that's the main big fraction. So now, if I just want to simplify that, I can multiply by the reciprocal, 27 over 1, times the 27 over 1. Now 3 goes in 27. Let's see what 9 times. 9 times 2 is going to give me a 18x cube root of y. Whew. Hopefully I got all that correct. If I didn't, let me know in the chat. All right, so now let's go and see what other questions I can answer from you guys. And again, guys, I do apologize. I'm not going to get to everybody's question. People ask questions all the time, and I'm like, some things I'm familiar with. Sometimes I haven't taught in a really long time, and I just don't want to explain it on a live stream if I don't feel like my explanation is going to be very strong. So, please be kind of patient with that. Please be patient, with understanding that. I want to make sure that I can service your needs with a good explanation from there. So if I don't get to it, I apologize for that. But Remember, guys, there is the Discord server that you guys can post questions as well, that there's tutors and other students that are just like you, willing and able to help others with their questions. Well, thank you so much, Faith. I appreciate that. All right. So let's go and take a look at these questions. 9 questions. Man, what are you guys doing? Smith? Oh, I still got one more. Crap. Era. Forgot about that. I remember your question. Let me get yours before I get to others. Okay. So first thing I want you to do on this one. So we don't know what this function is, right? All right. But here's what our function is, right? So a couple things we need to, this is kind of like the midway point. Okay. That's fine. So again, graph f2 of x. Okay, so we need to understand what this 2 as x doing. So just remember, like, that's your b, right? So if I had a f of b times x minus c plus d. Okay, so the b is going to be changing the period. That's going to be, if you remember b, so if I said period is 2 pi divided by b. Well, we know, what is the period of this one? We don't know if it's 2 pi, right? So the period is how long it takes the graph to repeat itself. So if I had 5 pi over 2 minus a pi over 2, well, that's going to equal a 4 pi over 2, which is indeed 2 pi. All right. So if I take 2 pi divided by 2, so if I say 2 pi divided by 2, that's just going to equal pi. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to start at this point. Okay. So I'm going to stay, here's my new point. Well, instead of going at pi, it's now going to go to 2 pi over 2. Okay. And now the low point. So therefore, the graph needs to repeat itself from there to there. And midway between the 2 peaks is going to be the bottom peak, which in this case is going to be here. So this graph is going to look something like this, right? But then the graph is being shifted down 1. So now I just need to take that exact same graph that I just did. And I just need to go down 1 unit. And voila. There you go. Now, again, you can keep on repeating that graph as many times as you possibly need, but hopefully you can see that's the one graph. That's the one kind of initial period that you can, work off of. All right. You can't see the whole problem. Oh, did I do this? Sorry. Hold on. Was I zoomed out? Sorry about that. Sometimes I zoom in on my thing. So, Arof, since you're on here, let me know if you have any questions. Oh, why get this out of there? There you go. So the only thing that's different is you need to know this 2 is affecting your period, right? So take 2 pi divided by b, which is pi. So instead of the graph repeating from 0 to 2, from here to here, it's now going to go from here to here, right? So, and then the graph is going down 1. So let me know if that helps you out. Since you're on, I'll be more than happy to go back to this question as need be. I just want to let you know that you've been helping me through since 9th grade. Wow. And I'm now in 11th grade. Learning to verify trig analysis. Awesome. I love it. Verify trig analysis is one of my favorites. Yeah, definitely not going to be able to get to 15 or more assignments, but tomorrow. Well, me, I'm not going to be able to, but you could definitely drink some coffee, I guess, maybe, and stay up. That's a lot. And hopefully that's not what you need to save your grade, but hopefully you can just, okay, awesome. Sorry, I was just reading this. Well, thank you so much. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Can you explain the logarithmic functions, please? Brian, if you have any questions, like, I don't know what you want me to explain on logarithmic functions. So if you have something specific, then please feel free to submit them, because that's a very vague question in my view of what I could talk about logarithms. So I mean, I could spend weeks talking about logarithms. So if you have something specific that you want me to kind of address, then let me know. Otherwise, questions keep on pouring in because it's late. And of course, why else would you guys not submit questions previously, but submit them to me late? God, it's killing me. All right. Let's see. I don't think I deleted your question, did I? All right, I got that one. Good. So we can, yeah, and unfortunately I delete the questions once I solve them. So I need an overall explanation. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking I'd love to go this. I would need to, actually, I'm not going to delete this because I just want to go over that again. But it's about medians and bisectors. Sorry, Patrick, it's kind of late. So I need to like a refresher on that. I'm actually not going to delete it. I'll go back and review that for next week. But it's just not something that I have exactly on the tip of my tongue to go and explain right now. What is this guy's question? How do I know where to put the vertical asymptotes when I'm graphing tangent? Okay, so that's a good question. So, so let me use that question that you had. How much time we got? Kind of getting late. Coterminal angles are two angles that have the exact same initial and terminal side. So to get coterminal angles, just add or subtract 2 pi. All right, so John asked, come on. Oh, oops. So John asked a question like, how do you know where to put the vertical asymptotes for tangent? Well, a couple things you need to remember. Remember, guys, you can't divide by 0, right? So that's important. So knowing that, let's think about for tangent, what angles are you going to divide by 0? So to understand that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a unit circle here. Okay, and when remember tangent's y over x, right? So when x is equal to 0, I'm going to have a tangent's going to be undefined, which that's going to be at, so let's see, that's 0, 1. And this one is 0, -1, right? Now, what are these angles, right? So that angle is pi over 2, and this angle is 3 pi over 2. Now, again, that's the initial period, or that's like, actually, if you remember, no, come on, hate, that does that. There you go. Let's do negative pi halves. Okay, because I want you guys to look at this initial period of the tangent function. Looks like that, right? And then you have an asymptote here and an asymptote there. So an easy way to remember where the asymptotes are is to look at the unit circle. Now, again, remember though, this graph repeats every pi, right? So the way that we write that is the vertical asymptotes are x equals pi over 2 plus they repeat every pi, right? The distance between these two asymptotes is pi. So we could say pi over 2 plus pi n. So when you have an equation like this, all you simply want to do when you have some transformations is take that equation, pi x divided by 4, and set it equal to a pi halves plus pi n. Okay, and then you just solve for x. So we're going to multiply by 4 on both sides. Get a pi x equals a, 4 times pi halves is going to be a 2 pi, right? Yeah, 2 pi plus a 4 pi n. Then divide by pi, x equals a 2 plus a 4 n. And that's where the asymptotes are going to be. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Guys, I'm not going to get to everybody's questions, but again, guys, go ahead and check out the Discord if I don't get to your question for you on that, or make sure you just submit them for next week. But yeah, I've been doing these this is week number 114. So I'm here every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you don't need to wait till you get a notification of me going live. Word problems. No, too late to do a word problem. Come on, what are you guys trying to do? Come on, it's a Sunday night. It's late. Give me word problems. My eyes are like watery. That's how tired I am. Can you give me tips on how to graph trig functions? Yeah, so I don't spend a lot of time on trig functions anymore. I used to, but students have just had such a hard time with them. And we'd spend so much time like practicing factoring. I was like, why are we doing all this stuff? So I think the main thing, if I was going to give you some tips, I think the main thing you're going to want to do is, number one, is know the parent graphs. right? Know the parent graphs and transformations. So what I'm saying, like, how do things shift? Like, how do they go up or down? You know, what is the how do things reflect? Where are the reflections? Like, you got to know the parent graphs. You got to know what sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent look like. You got to know what the shape looks like. You got to know where the asymptotes are. Blah blah blah. And really, like, just know those things. And the other thing I would like you to know, is also the characteristics. Right? Like, knowing the amplitude, know how to find the amplitude, know how to find the period, know how to find the, the phase shift when you have a B and a C, know how to find the asymptotes. Like, if you can just focus on knowing how to do those things, like, there's a lot of step-by-step stuff that I do, but I don't want to get so much into the weeds on that. But I think if you know those two things, that's what I wanted my students to know, then graphing can be rather simplified. Yes, there's some difficult graphing problems, and you can still struggle with graphing, but I think if you know those two, those are the two most important things that I want you to know, and hopefully that can benefit you from there. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to, unfortunately, guys, I'm only going to get to a couple more questions. So why do math books stop showing step-by-step equations? I mean, they never stopped. I mean, that was the way when I was in school. And I think, for one, there are some expectations that some things, like they can't explain everything step by step. And then two, yeah, it's like also printing, they, they're going to follow just some logical mathematical order from there. But I mean, that's the way it's always kind of been, in my opinion. Well, thank you so much, Chrissy. Greatly appreciate that. Can you go over horizontal and vertical asymptotes for a whole? Well, I mean, yes, I can. Yes. I mean, just remember that a vertical asymptotes are a discontinuity, right? So when you know a discontinuity, that means it's going to make the denominator equal to 0. So that is when your d of x is equal to 0, and nothing's going to be removed. So when I'm talking about d of x, I'm saying a p of x equals a n of x. I don't really want to say it. Let's just keep that. It's a discontinuity. Let me just give you two examples. Just give you two. Let me just boil this down because I'm short on time. So, x plus 1 times x minus 1 times an x plus 4. Okay, so there's two values that x cannot equal. X cannot equal, let's do a different number here. I don't want to be confusing. Let's do minus 7. Okay, so x cannot equal -1 and x equals 7, right? Those are two numbers x cannot equal. However, notice something. X plus 1 divided out. So when something divides out, that's what we call removable. So x equals -1 is a whole. Okay. So when it's removable, it's a whole. So it's still not defined. It's not in the domain, but it's a whole. Okay. So if you were to graph that, it'd be an undefined value. So let's just change it up. If I had x plus 1 times x plus 4, and then now over here, let's just say let's just do the, oh, never mind. Well, I can just do it here. So what about x equals 7? Well, notice how the x minus 7, that also, x cannot equal 7, right? Because that makes the denominator equal to 0. X minus 7 could not divide out. Right? So it's non-removable. So x equals 7 is a vertical asymptote. Now, horizontal asymptote, you need to know the 3 rules. And that's just kind of like you need to know how the degree in the numerator and the denominator relates. So when the degree in the denominator is going to be less than degree in the numerator, then y is equal to 0. When the degree is equal in the numerator and the denominator, y is equal to a over b, where a and b are the leading coefficients of your two functions. And when the degree is greater than the numerator, there is no horizontal asymptote. So those are just kind of a quick and fast synopsis for you. I believe it was option E. All right, well, here's another question. It's not a rational one. Well, it's your reciprocal function. What is, let fx be the, I'm gonna have to look at that definition. That's not something I use very often, so I'll have to make sure I have that. Cami, thank you. I'm a teacher attempting to pass my. Awesome. Your video is a big help. Thank you. Awesome. So much. All right. I think I can get to 2 of your questions. Let's see. Hopefully. Please, explanation for all of them. That's definitely not going to happen. But I appreciate you asking. And you don't even tell me which question you want me to focus on. You just give me a huge pile of problems. So sorry. Unfortunately, when you guys just bombard me with the question of a whole bunch of stuff, I just have to skip it. So I just skip it. So again, guys, questions are designed for me to be like very specific on what you had. Can do a quick flip. Missed the week they taught it. Oh, I'm having trouble with something specific, but I'm not sure about anything as square roots and radicals. Again, going over like a general topic is just really, really vague for you guys. If you can like be really, really specific, that's the way that I can identify where you need help on. So again, I'm going to have to skip that one too. Verify. All right. One question or a million? One question. Okay. All right. Let's do a verifying question. Nothing like verifying in front of everybody on a live stream. Okay. So this one is a sine squared of theta all over 1 plus cosine of theta equals a 1 minus a cosine of theta. All right. First thing I recognize is sine squared and cosine. So I know using the Pythagorean identities, I can rewrite sine and turn to cosines. The reason why I'm thinking that is because on the right-hand side, there's only cosines. So I have to somehow get rid of my sine. So remember that a sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1, right? So if I subtract a cosine squared of theta on both sides, I get a sine squared of theta equals a 1 minus a cosine squared of theta. So if I did 1 minus a cosine squared of theta all over a 1 plus a cosine of theta equals 1 minus, oh, let's not write like that. Let's just write that. Okay, but now that's our in terms of cosines. That's cool. Now the next thing I want you to recognize is I have a square term minus another square term, right? Because 1 is equal to 1 squared. Same thing. So then I really have 1 squared minus cosine. Let's just do it like this. So then I really have a squared minus a b squared, which is the same thing as a minus b times an a plus b, right? So this can really be written as a 1 minus a cosine of theta times a 1 plus a cosine of theta all over 1 plus cosine of theta. Okay, so then those will divide out, and I'm just left with a 1 minus a cosine of theta. Voila. Cool. All right, guys, time for a giveaway. So if you have not already entered the giveaway, then go to last week's live stream. I think I was talking about me dressing up, and go ahead and type in math help. So hashtag math help. If you guys want a free tutoring session with myself, if you don't, well, then cool. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do it at all. Like, it's totally up to you. It's a free it's free kind of time with myself that I'm giving away each and every week. And then for those of you that I didn't get your question that you submitted, a couple of those I did want to go ahead and take a look at real quick before I did want to go and take a look at those real quick before I went into what am I doing? I wanted to kind of refresh or look at those for next week. So I do apologize, but there are some questions or some things that I was like, I'm just kind of tired. and maybe like a word or how it was worded. I just want to like relook at them. So you can definitely go and submit them on Discord if you like to now, or you can just wait till next week and I'll go over them. Nope, don't do it in the live chat. That's next week's chat. Next week's. I'm sorry, last week's. Last week's, guys. I can't say that enough. Last week's live stream. It was about me dressing up. You go to last week's live stream and then you type it in. Wow, look at Big Boss Pesos. Just tune in. Thank you for all your help. I would not have passed my call. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out. All right. So, well, cool. Just got into the stream. Well, guess what? We're doing a giveaway and giveaways are cool. So go to my last live stream. Just go to my channel. And if you go to live streams, then on my channel in live streams, you guys can see why I dressed up every day. And you can go and click on that live stream. And then you guys can go and type in there hashtag math help. And then also a reminder for all of you Algebra 2 students, might as well go ahead and do a little last minute plug here. For all of you Algebra 2 students, you guys can go ahead and go from, you guys can check out the live stream that we're doing this week. Okay, what am I trying to do? Oh yeah. Go to, all right, guys. You guys ready? All right, so here's last week's live stream. Again, the name of it is Why I Dressed Up Every Day. So last week's live stream, Why I Dressed Up Every Day. TikTok comment, Twitter. Okay. Anything goes, Katie Page. Got this. All right. And we're going to go to keyword and we are going to type in hashtag math help. All right. You guys ready? How many we got? Only 6 comments. Only. I think there was only 2 last time or 4 or something. It's always been low. It's awesome. I love it. All right. You guys ready? Here we go. And the winner is Rona. Again, you won last week. You better not have been spamming the chat. Well, congratulations. You are a winner again. And we will go ahead and set up. I think you connected on Discord. So go and connect with me on Discord and I will get you all set up and we'll do another round. So hopefully the last one was helpful for you. I'm assuming so since you submitted again. So awesome. Congratulations. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. The rest of you, please have a great week and I will see you guys next Sunday. Cheers.